welcome to In Conversation with Himali, Ananya Talluri and Anvitha Jampana's campaign, Svaasthya, is working with orphanages across Hyderabad to fulfill the nutritional needs of underprivileged girls through food and essential vitamins. They are 17-year-old girls who are already making the world a better place to live in. Hey, when I was 17, we weren't even aware that we could make a difference. Welcome, Ananya and Anvitha. Thank you for agreeing to speaking to us today on my channel.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Right. And are you all feeling good to be here?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. So I'm going to straight begin with my questions, okay? At 17, you girls decided to reach out to orphanages and fulfill the nutritional needs of girls. Why did this become your goal?
I think one of the main reasons this became our goal is because when I was younger, I also faced iron deficiency for a short period of time. Mine was for a very short period of time, but I was lucky enough to have medical access and the good knowledge of the right foods to eat. And so I was able to solve my problem like really, really quickly. But there are many other girls who don't, like underprivileged girls don't have medical access, or they don't have the right knowledge of the right food street that can help them correct these issues. And these issues affect them very much in the long run. So what we basically do is we take blood tests for these girls, and we analyze these reports with a doctor. So we take the CBP and iron serum test, and we analyze it with a doctor who helps us decide which medicines we should or which vitamins we need to give the children, and what kind of foods they should be focusing more on. So that's our main, and then we take a blood test at the end of around a 3-month period to see if we impacted them. And so far the results have been good. But our main reason to for this cause, to choose to focus on this cause, was that personally I've gone through this before, and then and we also have seen in government schools that kids, they're given food, but they're not given the right proportions. Like they're given too much rice and less dal, and the dal also is not like healthy. It's like it has more water than protein. So that was our main like reason, was because we've noticed this in government schools.
All right. So, Ananya, when you say government schools, how did you manage to kind of go into a government school to figure out, what was being served over there? Yeah.
Yeah, so actually we went on separate occasions to different orphan like government schools like before, but before we started Swasthya. And that's when like we were serving them lunch, like as a volunteer. And then I saw that other people were also serving lunch, and the owners and everyone else would just come, like the teachers, sorry, they would come and they would serve them like so much rice. But then the dal, as I said, the dal and the other curries, they didn't have any protein. Like it was mostly water, and I think that was because of like they needed financial assistance, and I think that was the main reason. But that's what we noticed. We just observed that.
Right. Wonderful. So why did you decide to just focus on girls?
I think
Well, like Ananya mentioned, we both had previous experiences. So for us, I think it was we could just connect with girls more, especially adults and teenagers more. And I think that a lot of people, they talk about how malnutrition or ill nutrition can affect the physical health, but for girls especially adults and teenagers, can also affect their menstrual health. And this is a taboo in our culture, and it's not talked enough, and these children don't have good enough knowledge about this issue. So we thought maybe coming from us teenagers ourselves, it would be easier to convey this in a more friendly, safe environment. So, and we did this by presentations, quizzes, games, so in a more interactive way where it wasn't stressed upon too much, but they still in the end got the knowledge. Yeah.
I was just wondering, were the girls open to kind of go through, what you had planned for them?
Yeah, well, initially it was a struggle, especially because this all happened during lockdown. So they never really met us before. We had very limited visits to the orphanage.
Right.
So the first time it was quite difficult. So that's why we didn't start off with this topic. We had an icebreaker session. We talked about other topics, which about the various nutrients. And towards the end, when we knew that there was an established connection, we kind of delved into the topic.
This is so interesting, both of you girls. I mean, I'm sure there must have been a lot of work that you must have put in, to plan out the quizzes or the games to break the ice, and for them to trust you about what you're doing. Not only the girls, would I say it must have been difficult even to gain confidence from the adults? I mean, people who were maybe the teachers or the organization, that you were working with. Was it difficult for you to convince them?
Yeah, definitely. That was a huge challenge that we faced, especially because we started in the midst of the pandemic. So we couldn't go around orphanages and see them. We couldn't visit them. All the contact that we initially had with them while they were scoping for them was via phone call. And there have been so many people in the past that have called these orphanages, given them false hope. And why would they trust two 17-year-olds, right?
Absolutely.
So that was a huge challenge. But once we found the right orphanage, we went, we pitched our idea, and they gave our consent, and then yeah, we just began from there.
Fantastic. So apart from convincing people, was there any other challenge that you faced to achieve your goal?
Yeah, I think in regards to the sessions, initially we had to do them via Zoom.
Okay.
And with kids who are like 12 and 13 who didn't know us, their attention span was not the greatest. And the internet and the Wi-Fi interruptions and people freezing, it was a bit chaotic. But we did get used to them. And eventually we tried to visit them at safe distances when it did get safer later on. And yeah.
All right. Wow. So do you plan on expanding your reach to girls from the nearby cities or nearby states?
Yeah, well, also adding on to Anvitha's thing about the challenges, one main thing is because we wanted to focus on government schools, but with the pandemic, government schools closed and only orphanages were opened. So that time it was very hard for us. Like, we weren't sure if we wanted to even go forward. We thought, okay, let's take a break for Swasthya and then we'll continue once the pandemic is over. But then we didn't want to wait for so long because we never know when the pandemic's gonna end, right? Like, we didn't know. So that's why we had to change, pivot into orphanages and not to government schools.
Yeah.
So like we were waiting for the situation to settle down so we can expand to government schools. So that was our
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Then I was coming to your question about the expanding. Yeah, we definitely want to expand to other cities. We want, so two things: we definitely need help finding more orphanages, like especially if it's in another city where we don't, the only way to get into orphanages is through contacts, because when you call them directly they don't care about you at all. So we had, that's how it, well, from our experience that's how it was. For every orphanage we had to get in through contacts. So I had to mention, someone give me your number, this is how I got to know about you. So because we called so many orphanages but it didn't work, and then we had to get in through contacts. So that's another thing. If we want to go, because we do want to go into other states, we need to get contacts of people who know orphanages already. So I think that's one thing. And the other thing we definitely need help in is finding more volunteers to join us to help us expand, because when we want to expand at a fast rate, it gets hard for us to, because we have to visit the orphanage, do the awareness sessions and everything. So it gets hard for us to go every weekend and do it, especially like with college applications and all coming up. So I think one main thing is finding volunteers. That's what we mainly need, especially because we want to expand.
Sure. So my viewers who are watching, this show out there from India, I would definitely request you all to take that step ahead and let this dream come true. I mean, they are trying to do wonderful, they're trying to put in efforts to make the world a better place to live in. So why not? Let's do something about this. Keep that in your mind while you continue listening to what they have to say further ahead. So, uh, do you agree that you have achieved success? And both of you are an inspiration to many out there, because to me, you for sure are an inspiration. What would you say?
That means a lot to us that you would say that. Thank you so much. Um, but about like, I don't think like we are happy with what we've done. I won't deny that. But about success, I don't think there's ever truly success until all the girls in this world, like there's so many girls in this world who are facing these menstrual issues with regards to nutrition, especially underprivileged girls, because they don't even know about it. People at least some people, like most people, I mean people, some people know that they have it, but these underprivileged girls don't even, they're not even aware of it. So I think success only comes once all the girls who are facing this issue are like they're helped, you know, until they're healthy. So
Um,
until
yeah.
then
Ananya,
there's
I
no
would say you're being very modest, but it is a fact that you are an inspiration, because just think about all those girls. I mean, even if you touched one life, you've done wonders already, right? Yes, there is a lot more to do, but you're already doing it. And and even those girls whom you're helping, they're watching you, and you become their role model, isn't it? Yes.
well, I'm
Yes.
not sure. I'm not sure, but I just think success only comes when everyone, like when our cause is like fully solved. Because, you know, like we're not, and that's another thing I wanted to say is like there's lots and lots of people who still need help. So if there are more and more people who can like start an initiative with the same cause or something, there's so many people who can help but who
Mhm.
are not doing it. But if there are people who have access to, who have, because you don't even need a lot, like for our project at least, we don't even need that much finance. So literally anyone can start, anyone who has access to good medical access and the good knowledge of the right foods to eat, then they can definitely start an initiative like ours and help expand much faster than,
Sure.
because the thing about our project is also it's about quality and not quantity, because a lot of kids we know are doing social service projects and they're impacting like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 kids all the time. But
Mhm.
we are, so that was another pressure like we felt, because we're like, oh, we're not helping, like we've only helped 120 kids until now. So we're like, everyone else is helping 200, 300 kids and we're helping 200, 300 or even 1,000 kids, and we're only helping 120. So it's all about the quality, like because we have to spend a lot of time with these girls and make sure they understand what we're saying and connect with them because it's very personal. So I think that's one thing. And like one message like Anvita and I have is that like you shouldn't think about what other people are going to say, because when we started out and we were talking to adults about it and other orphanages, they all looked down upon us. They didn't think this would
Oh,
be a
so
good
sorry to
initiative.
hear this. Yeah. Yeah.
No, because all of them wanted like financial help, but that's not what our project, like we don't provide funds. Like we fund all the activities we're doing, but we don't provide funds for their electricity or rent or any of that, which is what they all wanted. So many people turned, like many people were like, oh, like, and in terms of adults, like with respect to them, they were like, there's so many other causes like right now, especially with COVID, they're like, oh, you can supply this, you can supply that, but this is the cause we've been wanting to work on. So don't think about what other people are going to say, and don't think about the, like the impact, like don't think about the quantity, like oh, like I have to impact 1,000 people. Think about the quality aspect of it.
Yeah.
That
And
was,
take the
and
step
just
ahead.
start now. Like you should just start. Like don't spend too much time planning everything. Just start whatever activity, and you'll later, like as after you start later on, you'll be able to build a solid plan around whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start learning a lot more about how you have to go about it, your audience, so if you just start now, you can plan while doing it. That was another thing.
Ananya, that was such a lovely message that you leave behind to the audience, be it the younger ones or the older ones. It's just a step that we need to take ahead. And let's stop planning things and let's take action, is what she says. Anvitha, would you like to say something too?
Yeah, so I think I think when you're passionate about something is when you put your best efforts in. So we've related to this cause. I think that's why we're still going with it and we're going strong. So I think if you want to impact someone, you need to find what relates to you, because that's when you know that it's gonna succeed.
Fantastic. Wishing you both the best. And thank you, young ladies, for those wise words that you have both shared with us. It was a pleasure to hear you both talk and to know how you're making this world a lovely place to live in. Viewers, if you wish to volunteer, I'll be adding in the description how to reach them. To put in your best foot forward, and let's make this effort, a successful one. Thank you very much, Anvitha and Ananya, for being here with me.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.